Donald Trump's presidency has prompted a burst of rogue Twitter accounts which claim to be coming from various government agencies. The accounts are critical of the new administration, and this week, one sparked a legal showdown between Twitter and the federal government. Twitter pushed back and appears to have won at least this round. Adam has more.
The Twitter account AltUSCIS has a penchant for mocking the Trump administration on immigration and other topics. And apparently, the Trump administration doesn't like that.
This demand from the government was really unusual, according to the legal experts we've spoken with.
That demand from U.S. Customs and Border Protection asked Twitter to reveal the identity of the person behind the account. Instead, Twitter responded with a lawsuit saying AltUSCIS is protected by the First Amendment and that disclosure would have a grave chilling effect.
Without any sort of evidence presented in the facts that they sent to Twitter requesting this information, it would appear that perhaps they're looking to deter other such accounts.
For the record, this isn't the first time that Twitter has filed suit against the U.S. Back in 2014, it took on the Obama administration.
Twitter is suing the FBI and the Department of Justice over the right to publish the number of times the government has requested user information.
And in this case, litigation got results quickly. Today, Twitter dropped its lawsuit after the government backed off, which means we won't learn why this particular account became such a priority.
Yeah, so Jennifer, putting your legal hat back on, we have no idea, who is behind this account. But if they're using a government or even disguised as a government agency, does the government have the right to know who it is?
So I think it's a really interesting case, and I'm sorry that it was dropped because I would have liked to have seen how it turned out. It's not simple, because if the person is an employee of the federal government, while they still have First Amendment rights, they're not the same as the First Amendment rights of a private citizen. And usually what the courts look at is the communication, stuff that's in the public domain, legitimate political speech. They have a right to criticize, for example, public policies. But what they don't have a right to do is to release sensitive information that they're privy to because of where they work. And so that's, for example, if it were an Edward Snowden type of thing, if he were, or WikiLeaks, and the government said, tell us who's doing this, we believe it's an employee, then I think they'd have a very strong case. My sense is that if this had gone forward, Twitter would have won.
But I think one of the difficult things here is that the United States government made no claim of any crime being committed. There was nothing in the initial subpoena.
It was a witch hunt.
This was purely finding out. Someone wanted to find out who was criticizing the Trump administration, and that's pretty monstrous. I'm glad that Twitter stood up to them. Generally speaking, of all the technology companies, Google and Apple and Facebook, Twitter probably has the best record on First Amendment issues and speech protection issues. They all have various problems, but they've been strong on it. And I think it's really chilling to the idea that this would be something that the government thinks they could do. Good for Twitter.
There's no particular reason to think that this is a government employee on the Twitter account.
You're right.
As Donald Trump might have said, it's some 300-pound guy in New Jersey, right?
Could be.
If there had been an allegation that this person was engaging in any sort of illegal activity, if there was a libel suit, then it might very well be incumbent upon Twitter to try to help the government figure out who was behind it. But that allegation wasn't even made. So I don't. Good for Twitter for standing up to the government.
Do you think Donald Trump himself was the one who asked for?
Probably.
Maybe Donald Trump himself is the one who's behind the account.
Well, that could be. This is when he's not
really
slipping notes to Sean Spicer to say, go yell at that one, as the New Yorker reported this week.
Well, my first thought was, I don't know that this is a person working for the government. That was my exact first thought. I just thought they could set it up to look like that. And the second thought was, unless whomever is threatening the president, which then gets into a whole other area, then there's a lot of agencies that have some reason to know who that is. What is this about except as a witch hunt? And it is kind of scary that they would start going after little people.
No, but wait, what if he is misrepresenting himself as a government employee, which, let's say he's not one, but he's saying he is. Do they have the right to go after him then?
I don't know.
You can't misrepresent who you are.
I wouldn't think so. But it's not enough to. Is that? Well, I don't know. Is that a crime? I don't know if that's.
There have been instances with Twitter with these kinds of accounts where you go to Twitter and say, "We want you to shut down this account," and oftentimes Twitter has done that, and that's the end of it.
Yeah,
it's
when
not
it's
a matter
particularly
of
when it's
exposing the
sexual
person behind
harassment
it.
and that
Who
kind
would
of
ask
stuff.
for the thing to be shut down?
I can say that there were many women's groups that went because these vile accounts that get to the point where they get whipped up, and so they did go to Twitter and said, "Now come on, you know, this is inciting something beyond. You have really got."
They
do
have a
something
pretty
they
high
did."
threshold for garbage.
They do, but they did shut some. I'm just saying they did.
But again, I invite anyone to actually go and look at this account.
Yeah.
This is not an account committing high crimes and misdemeanors. This is an account making dumb jokes.
Right.
This is. I suspect that no government employees are actually involved. It is probably just someone who doesn't like the Trump administration and is tweeting things, which is something
Well, there are a lot of
that
government
is
employees
free
that
to
don't
do.
like the Trump
Absolutely,
administration,
that's
so
very true.
it's not mutually exclusive.